Listen, I want to welcome everybody who has joined us this Saturday morning, or morning if that's what it is where you are. I want to welcome you to this introductory session to mechanical and industrial engineering undergrad programs here at the University of Toronto. My name is Marcus Bussman. I'm a professor of mechanical engineering in this department, and at the moment I'm the chair of this department as well. I think it's great that so many of you have joined us to learn a little more about the U of T engineering and of mechanical and industrial in particular. And let me briefly tell you what we're going to do in the next 90 minutes, and then I'm going to hand it over to some fabulous professors and students who are going to tell you much more about our programs. So here's the agenda for the next 90 minutes, taking us to 11:30 Toronto time. I'm going to finish up in just a second. What we've done is broken this up into 4 parts, 4 20-minute segments. We're going to look at what you can expect in year 1, mechanical and industrial, and you're going to discover that in year 1, it's a common program for the two undergraduate programs. In the second 20 minutes, we're going to talk about year 2 separately in mechanical and industrial, and have a couple of students tell you about their experiences and talk to a professor. And then we're going to look at, in session 3, mechanical specifically in years 3 and 4. And then we will finish with a discussion of industrial engineering in years 3 and 4. And in each case, as I said, I will introduce a professor, a couple of students, and let them tell you all the great things that happen in those years. Now, just a couple of housekeeping matters. If you have questions, you can drop those into the Q&A. Some of our students, some of our professors, some of our staff are in that session, and we'll try to answer those. And where a question is of particular interest, perhaps to the broader audience, some of the panelists might pick up on those in their discussions. And I will say as well that I'm told that there is an engineering applicant portal that you can also access, where admission reps are available to answer admissions specific questions. And so with that, I think one more slide. Let's get started. I want to welcome all of you, and this first session, first of 4, is being led by Professor Jason Basilak of the Department of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering. Professor Basilak is responsible for the largest first-year engineering course here at the University of Toronto, and is going to talk about the first-year experience with a couple of current first-year students. So over to Professor Basilak.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Professor Bussman, for the introduction. I wanted to welcome you all to our online fireside chat here, and I want to share a little bit of information about the first year program. But first, I want to bring a couple experts about our first year into this conversation. First, I'd like to bring Mary, who is a first year industrial engineering student, and also Melissa, who's a first year mechanical engineering student. Both are in the first year right now and can speak best to the student experience. So they're here to help answer questions about that. So, okay, great, thank you. So here's what you're gonna see. You can find this on many websites. This is the curriculum for the first year. Now, as Professor Bussman has already said, there is a common first year between industrial and mechanical engineering. So at the end of first year, if you feel, I want to how to change a heart, or you've learned something that you didn't know before and you want to shift over between those two, that is, you're able to do that. So if you take a look at the courses here, there is a course called Orientation to Engineering. Now, a big part of this course is, well, as the name suggests, just getting you used to the shift that you're going to get when you come from high school into engineering. There's a change of thinking and way of approaching problems and things like that we want to help you get started on in that orientation to engineering. Now, you're not going to be masters of that by this end of this course. It's just an introduction, like all of the other first year courses. This is a year where we're going to introduce fundamentals and get you ready to build on those fundamentals and learn the specifics of engineering and of your specific discipline as well. So the course that I'm involved with, you'll notice here is listed Engineering Strategies in Practice 1 and Engineering Strategies in Practice 2. This is a 2-sequence design course. You need to take both of these. The first in the fall term, it is a course that is, it's a design course where we put you into teams and we get used to not just the technical aspects of engineering, but the other equally important aspects of things like communication skills and teamwork, and that the skills that will help you to shine in the industry. And I also often tell my students, there's a method to my madness in the design of the course, in that it really is focused on getting you used to being a practicing engineer, or introduces you to that idea. Once we get to the winter term, we hit the reset button. We give you new peers to work with, and we give you a new project. And this project in the winter term is pretty unique. The projects, each team will have a unique project, and you will have a real client. And that is pretty unique amongst the first year curriculum across Canada. The fact that you will be solving a real problem and have a chance for a client to implement your solution right in the first year. So those 2 courses, I mean, I know most about those 2 because that's what I run, but it is kind of the cosmic glue that holds the first year together, in that there's a lot of the technical knowledge you get from your mechanics class, your calculus, your linear algebra class, your dynamics class. Those will all help you approach these problems and solve them. I tell students that these problems that you solve in ESP are not engineering problems. They are your client's problems. Now use your engineering skill set to solve them. So that's kind of the high level about the first year program. Is there, do we have any questions, or I'm just looking in the chat now to see if there's any kind of,
the questions are starting to come into the chat,
Yeah,
Professor Basilak.
okay.
But I think I will stop sharing the curriculum slides
Mhm.
perhaps, and let you introduce the students and bring them on the screen to say hello.
Yeah, I think that's best.
And for those who are wondering, the floating voice over here, I'm a staff person in the department, Shannon Osborne, and I help coordinate the various events and also work on our admissions committee. So I'll be popping in and out of the session, and my email will appear at the end if you have any follow-up questions.
All right. So I mentioned them already earlier, but I'll mention again. So we have 2 first-year students who are experts in being first year, or for the first year experience, since they're going through it right now. So I'd like to call on Mary. Mary is a first year industrial engineering student, correct? Yeah, and Melissa is a first year mechanical engineering student. So we've got both sides of the department on that. So and they are in my course right now. So I'm sure they're going to say how my course is the most wonderful course ever. But you know, maybe I'll log off later on and they can give you the real story afterwards. But
no, this is really fun.
Yeah,
I can assure that.
so Mary, do you want to introduce yourself beyond what I've said?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Mary. I'm a first year industrial student. I am from Toronto, so my high school was Loretto Abbey Catholic School, which is in North York, if anyone knows or went there. Currently, I am part of ENGSOC, which is our engineering society student council type thing, and I'm first year industrial engineering rep. I'm also part of a few design teams, including Hyperloop, where I'm part of the research and design, as well as their business. So that's like a little bit about me. My favorite course, I'd have to back up Mr. Baslak here and say it is a ESP. It's like an amazing course because you can actually apply your skills and what you learn. It's not like just computation of just like, okay, the integral of this is this. It's more like, okay, you have a problem. There's 7 different ways to solve it. Which one's the best way to solve it now? And you like take all the factors, so like all your like previous experiences, like your knowledge, as well as everything you learned just comes together. And working with a team, like with COVID and all that, like you're limited to like your house, so you can't really meet a lot of other first years. So I found this course was an amazing way to like learn more about my classmates and just like come together and like build a great idea. So for our first project, we had to innovate either a system or a device that can be used within the household and to better their lives. So what my team decided to do was look more into dorm rooms and look at ways we can make a workout machine as well as a functional desk to save space as well as better fitness because of all the gym closures. So that's how like we approach the problem, but I know Melissa has like approached it differently with her team. So for my second term, I am a part of ESP2. So now this combines, the project I took on is related to architecture, like is our overarching category. So for my team, I have 3 architecture students from UofT, the Daniels program, as well as me and 2 other engineers. And together we're working on a project to design a maze for an architecture company. And so we're excited about that.
Melissa, why don't you give us a little bit of your insight into your experience?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Professor Baslak, for the introduction. Super excited to speak to you all today. Hi, I'm Melissa, and I'm a first-year mechanical engineering student here at UofT. And I'm also from Toronto. I graduated from IB school, Victoria Park CI. So shout out to all the IB students out here today. So a little bit about my experience in first year so far. I'm also a part of EngSocs, our engineering society, as Mary talked about already. And I'm the first year, one of the first year actually, mechanical engineering reps. I'm also on the Hyperloop design team. So Mary and I'm sure she can also speak to that. It's very great experience where you learn not only technical skills, but also how to work with upper year students or students from various engineering disciplines, or even in other programs like business, as Mary mentioned. So for me, my ESP1 project, we focused on apartment buildings. So what my team and I identified a very big issue that can happen in the household or in an apartment building is that I'm sure a lot of you has also experienced this. So whenever you shower, your mirror gets really foggy, right? And it can be really, really annoying to try and use a foggy mirror when you're in a hurry. So what my team and I did is we designed a bathroom mirror defogger to help combat that issue, but without altering our design space, which is apartment bathrooms. So that was a really fascinating experience where I learned a lot of engineering design tools and strategies, which will definitely help me in ESP2 as well, which is happening this term. So Mary mentioned that her team, she has architecture students, but my team, though, we're all mechanical engineering students. So I'm really excited to see how we will all work together to build a automatic indoor plant watering system for our client. So that's something I'm really, really looking forward to.
Yeah, thank you for Melissa and Mary for talking about well, your experience and also your projects you worked on and are working on in ESP. One of the questions I see in the chat here is you wonder if we could give any examples of types of projects. So you have already given that recently, but I've been running this course for many years, so I can talk about some other ones. And the projects really run the range. So our typical client is very different. So we have clients who are, I've had a senior nuclear plant design engineer be one of our clients, and I've had community groups with no technical experience be our clients. And individuals in the neighborhood to government agencies, to members of the UofT community, to all over the place. It's not about one type of project, but it's rather about you practicing how you can take these skills we're teaching you and you figure out how you can use that to make the world a better place by solving some problems. So projects, let's see, I'll give you some example projects. We have a group that has been donated a 40-foot trailer and is interested in helping the homeless population. So what they want is to create a mobile bathroom shower truck that can go around and service the homeless community who often don't have access to those kind of facilities. We have a lot of organizations that might be based in, let's say a religious organization based out of a church that's 150 years old, and when it was not built with accessibility in mind, and they want to be as inclusive to their patrons as possible. How do you retrofit a 150-year-old building for wheelchair accessibility? We've had projects that are related to, let's see, what else is there now? Now I'm blanking. So some of the projects we've had in the fall these are projects that are fictitious in the sense that we make them, we assemble them ourselves, but we make them as realistic as possible. One year we dealt with early warning systems for forest fires. We've dealt with how to keep food fresh for delivery during for Meals on Wheels clients. We've had how to, and this is a number of years ago, but pretty telling right now. We've had how do you maintain a cold supply chain for a vaccine delivery system in multiple countries and things like that. So students every year they amaze me on what they're capable of coming up with. And even though their first year, they you're all very bright and most importantly eager and interested and tackle these problems with a lot of gusto. So there's some pretty amazing things that come out of here, and that's why I've stuck with this course for, I think I'm 13 years now into this course. So and I have no intention of leaving, because I every year is different because of this mixture of projects and things like that. So
there's a question about how heavy the first year course load is, and like with homework and projects, as well as like if there's like a balance for work and school. Personally, for me, it varies per course. And like there's going to be weeks where it's like super, super heavy and you'll like be working for like long periods of time. But through COVID, like there's a lot of like you can make your own schedule and like you can learn what's best for you. So I find it's like a mix on how well you can manage your time and depending on like how well you grasp the concept. So like this week was super busy for me. I had like my TA meeting. I had a meeting with my engineering manager for my project, as well as I had like 2 tests and like a bunch of like weekly assignments and projects. So like this week it was like really like focused on study, but last week was a little bit more relaxed and I can like do like a bit more like review and stuff. So it just depends. And it's just how the type of learner you are and how you manage your time. So it varies per person, and course syllabus do give the amount of hours required. So thank you for that question.
I want to back up what Mary said too. I mean, it's been a few years since I've been a first year student, but I'll be honest with you. I really struggled in my first year. And it wasn't because I wasn't capable of doing it. I was smart enough to be there. But where I struggled was my time management skills. It is so critical. I was coming out of high school where I was the big fish in a small pond, and I was used to always getting everything done. And so I never had to make any priority calls and things like that. So one of the things we try and teach you in orientation to engineering is how do you manage your time, So that's really important. And if by the time you're in U of T first year engineering, you deserve to be there. You're capable of succeeding. And almost all of our first year students succeed. When I went through first year engineering many years ago, we were under the mistaken impression that a high attrition rate, students leaving first year, was some kind of badge of honor because, oh, it shows we are elite. And we now know that that is not the case. Everyone, by the time you get in, you deserve to be there. And I mean, it's not 100% retention, but that's on purpose because not everyone decides to stay. You know, if you choose to leave, that's one thing, but everyone can succeed. We put lots and lots and lots of supports into place. There's a giant list of what do you need support with? Do you need support where you feeling stressed out? There's mental health supports. Are you, oh, this mechanics, I just can't wrap my mind around this mechanics. Well, there's support groups and things like that. There's tutorials and all this. There's lots and lots of supports that are in place. What I tell first year students, you need to be comfortable asking for help. And if you are comfortable asking for help, you will do well. You can find that help, and we're here to help you. So there's a question about, do I have still time? Yeah, I do. What design teams are available to students? Melissa, do you know some design teams that are popular with students?
Yeah, for sure. I think the two most popular ones among students are, so what I mentioned, Hyperloop, that's the design team that Mary and I are part of. And another one would be our aerospace design team. So that's, I would say, a bigger team where there's lots of sub teams, for example, working with drones, working with rockets, working with what's on the ground. So lots of opportunities there. I think a big part of the reason why I chose UofT engineering is also because of the design teams and clubs they have here, because not shaming other universities, but in comparison, I would say UofT definitely has a lot more and a wider range of design teams you can choose from. And there's always something that fits your interests and your skills. So yeah. Professor Vaslak, if you don't mind, there's a question in the chat. It says, how do you manage your time and make room for free time and time to de-stress? If I can just quickly speak about that.
For sure.
Yeah, so I think a big part of transitioning from high school to uni is that in university, you're definitely more in charge and responsible of your own learning. For example, deadlines, when to hand in assignments, so those things compared to high school, you need to keep track of yourself and you sort of need to plan it out on your own instead of, because your professors aren't going to be there to remind you when something is due. So I think adding on to what Professor Vaslak said previously, there's definitely a lot of resources there to help you out as well, because I know there's a misconception that UofT is such a big school, no one's really going to care about you, or you're not going to make tight bonds. But when I came into UofT engineering, I found out that is not true at all. I think Mary can also speak to this, but there is a lot of resources there to help you. For example, we have a mechanical mentorship program where upper year students get paired with first year students, and they help them and guide them throughout the year. We have lots of great initiatives such as study groups that are facilitated by other students or TAs. But definitely there are resources out there to help you, and great clubs and design teams you can join and have fun in your free time. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. It's Professor Bussman. I thought I would jump in here. I really want to thank Mary and Melissa for some great insights into what the first year program is about, and really gave some great advice to the students who are listening. And I also want to shout out to any parents who are lurking behind their kids watching this. I hope some of you are doing that. And I want to thank Professor Vaslak just for a great 20-minute introduction to the first year program. So thank you. And I would ask Shannon now to put up a slide to let me introduce